Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It is Thursday night and we're going to create some art. It's going to be awesome. It is Thursday night. It's not Tuesday. I was supposed to do a live stream the other day, but I got kind of tied up and wasn't able to make it. So hopefully we'll make up for it today and we'll have a nice time drawing an iguana. That's actually what we're working on tonight. This is by request. I think Kid made the request originally. Or at least the kid really endorsed doing it. It's something that she's been wanting for a while, and I just finally got around to it. So I'm going to do a colorful iguana on black paper. Hopefully, you guys enjoy this. I didn't know that iguanas actually came in so many different varieties of colors. I always thought they were kind of like in the greenish gray scale, kind of like dinosaurs that you see in Jurassic Park or something. But no, they're actually very colorful creatures. So we're gonna do one in color and see how it goes. All right. So let's jump right in. So as you can see, I kind of already sketched out where I want things to be. I kind of want the head up here, kind of coming down. One of the reasons why I wanted to tackle this is I forget who. I follow so many different people. I don't recall who was doing a dragon. Maybe it was Emily, but somebody was doing a dragon the other day, and I'm like, I haven't really tackled a dragon in a while. I've tried in the past to do dragons. So this is kind of my low scale attempt at doing a dragon, this iguana. So I'm just gonna jump right in. Hopefully you guys hang out with me. We got a couple of shout outs. We got Rome Dog in the house. We got Kid. We got Sammy Cat. We got Kinsley Loves Puppies. And we have Because I Can. So that's awesome. Yeah. Um, I, I really wanted to do a live stream on Tuesday. Sorry I couldn't make it, but Thursdays are the best ones. Whenever we do live streams on Thursdays, I always like it because, it's the day before Friday. Who doesn't like Fridays? I don't know how long this one's going to take. I feel like there's like a lot of detail to cover in this iguana, but we'll see. I'm starting out with kind of a blue pencil here to see how it goes. Hey, we got Treasure Warriors in the house. Cool. I'm actually supposed to be live streaming with Treasure Warriors here in about a month. They are premiering that Forrest Finn documentary on Netflix, which is finally announced. So, like, if you're kind of curious about the whole Forrest Finn story, you'll be able to watch a documentary on that pretty soon, which is kind of cool. But we're gonna get up in the morning when it like first actually debuts and watch it in real time, record our reactions. Because I don't know, Treasure Warriors has been. I don't remember when he said he got into the chase. I think he said it was around 2015 or something like that. But I've definitely been in the chase, looking for treasure since 2015 myself. And, that's like almost 10 years now that I've been involved in that community, that treasure hunting community. And it's kind of cool to see a documentary made about the hobby you were into. It's kind of neat. Um, so I'm kind of looking forward to that documentary. A lot of the people I know are on it. Um, I don't know if I'd call any of them like friends per se, but they're people I know. Um, more than in just passing, I guess, like in a sense, colleagues. If treasure hunters can be considered colleagues with each other. And by treasure hunters, I mean like actual treasure. Like we went looking for real treasure out there, almost like Indiana Jones. Like you hear about pirate ships that have been found, um, lost at sea and stuff like that, and people go and try to like recover gold. This is kind of like that, except that there was this guy who wrote a poem that had a bunch of clues in it, and it was real gold that we were looking for. So it was like actual treasure hunting. So it's kind of a fun little thing, kind of a cool little community that kind of sprang out of it. Bunch of crazy people. So if you watch this documentary and you're like, "Wow, Jeremy is crazy because he was hanging out with those guys," you're probably right, and I'll accept that one. A lot of crazy people. I mean, it's kind of like pretending that you're in the movie Goonies or something like that. So it's not it's not your typical like experience, showing up, going to work, working in a cubicle, punching in, punching out. This is treasure hunting. It's only for the eccentrics. In fact, if you wanted to kind of get an idea, watch King of California. Um, that's a good movie that kind of expresses what these people are like, the obsessiveness and stuff. Plus, it's got my girl Evan Rachel Wood in it. I've always had a big crush on her. Um, but that's a good movie. It's Michael Douglas. He believes that there's a treasure underneath them. Now we're not that crazy, but he believes that there's a treasure hidden under Costco of all places. Um, Ours was a little bit different. It was a treasure that was hidden out in the Rocky Mountains, just somewhere out in the Rocky Mountains. Could have been anywhere. But it was definitely a wilderness experience. So like, you know, I mean, not everybody participated in the way that I thought you probably should. Like I was all in on it. Like I was like, oh man, I'm going camping. I'm going roughing it out in the woods and stuff. I saw some people out there on the trail. They were wearing like white t-shirts that had like not a speck of dust on them. You know, like you could tell that they'd spent the night in a hotel. They were clean, all that. Nah, I want the full Indiana Jones experience. Like I've got pictures of myself just covered in mud from where I was looking in creeks and you know all kinds of stuff, crawling up in like little cubby holes. Um, where there's like spiders and snakes and stuff like that. I figure, you know, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right. So that's what I did. Different people, different folks, you know. I don't fault. Like a lot of the people who participated were, you know, a little bit older. I think the average age was like maybe people in their 40s or something like that. So it was kind of a variety of people out there looking. So I don't fault somebody in their like 40s or 50s staying in a hotel, but I'm still fairly young. I or at least I mean like I said I've been doing this for 10 years, so it's been a little while since my first trip, but I uh I went the camping route and stuff. I went all in on that. I thought it was kind of fun. I'm trying to get some like blues and some pinks in here and stuff. There's a lot of detail to cover in this thing. I don't know if I'm going to get all of it in there, but we'll see. Jeremy, you have to cancel that stream on Thursday the 27th. Yeah, I'm going to try to do it. I don't know. We'll see. I don't, you know, I sleep at weird hours anyway, so I could probably get up at 3 in the morning and still be fine later in the day. I'm kind of a creature of habit, so like just because I'm up early doesn't mean I'm going to be like in bed early. But I think it'll be kind of fun to like watch it once it premieres. We've been waiting on it for a while. Like I said, a lot of my friends are in it. I could have been in it if I wanted to be, but I didn't really know that it was going on. So like I didn't volunteer. I'm not sure I would have volunteered anyway. Like Netflix did make Tiger King, so I think you know I don't believe it's going to be a Tiger King. But it could have been, and that was the fear at the time when they first announced it. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be treated like Tiger King because they just announced it in 2020 when Tiger King had just come out, so that was like fresh on everybody's minds. And you know, the whole community is like, oh no, they're gonna make us look like a bunch of like redneck idiots and stuff, and we probably are redneck idiots by and large, but nobody wants to be portrayed that way, you know. But the truth of it is, like they can't Tiger King it because there's nobody that's interesting enough to be in that position. Like Joe Exotic, he's a pretty weird guy, you know. I don't think there's anybody of that caliber in the treasure hunting community. But anyway, I think it'll be kind of fun. I don't talk like a lot about treasure hunting. It's just one of my hobbies. I have like a ton of different hobbies on here, but that's one where there's actually something going on, so it's kind of fun. You know, I probably talk about art and treasure hunting more than my actual day job, which is programming. I don't think anybody's actually interested in hearing about programming. Like, um, I thought, you know, like I had a toss up of different channels I can create and stuff like that. I went the art route just because it's something where I can like learn in public, which I thought is kind of cool. And then also, there's programming channels out there already. I don't know if I would actually contribute anything to it. I don't know if like that sort of thing is something that I would be like, I don't think I would have like a special voice for it, you know? Like I believe that I have a point of view when it comes to art, maybe, or at least it's something that I'm doing anyway in public and stuff, so you guys can follow along. I have things to say about it. I don't feel like I have anything to say about programming. I mean, I've got best practices that I can relate to somebody who's just getting involved in it, but yeah, it's just not anything I'm interested in. Not that I'm not interested in programming. I am interested in programming. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's a great day job. But when the evening comes around, it's all just art. I want to be all up in the art. This guy's going to look weird until he doesn't. Jeremy, I want to get into like watercolor art style. Do you have any tips on how to get started? I think I'm going to do some more tip like videos. I haven't yet, but I plan to. Um, what I recommend, you know, without like actually demoing anything and showing you things that you could do, is you know, just broad strokes here. I think you should just get some watercolor paints, get some water, and get some paper, and just, you know, practice moving. Don't even try to make a picture out of it. I think you should get some paint, because this is how I started doing it. I just got some paint and I got some paper and I got a brush and some water, and I just started moving things around on the paper just to see what happens, you know? Like, and I think that's important, especially with watercolor, because watercolor is basically you're painting with water. The paint, the pigments and the colors and stuff like that, that's almost besides the point. The point is that you're moving water around on the page. And that is something that's a little weird and a little, it takes a little getting used to, unless you spend a lot of time making messes growing up, or like, you know, as an adult like I am. When I go to restaurants, sometimes I spill stuff on the table and I just kind of like mess about with it. If you're like that, maybe you'll pick it up pretty quick. But otherwise, you know, you might want to just try moving water around. Like, even if you don't want to buy watercolor, like watercolor is inexpensive. So if you can get some student grade watercolor paints for like under $10. So I don't see why you would feel the need to like practice before you got paints. But say you did, you can just put water on a piece of paper and move it around and just kind of see how it flows. You can hold up the paper or like tape down the paper. Yeah, so the first tip obviously is tape down the paper, because it is going to bend the paper, especially if you have low quality paper like what I use. Um, you know, probably like the better quality paper doesn't bend as much, but you do want to kind of tape it all the way around. Uh, and you know, once you've done that, just kind of move some water around on the paper just to kind of see how that works. You know, tilt it, get some gravity flowing just to see how um, you know, water moves. You're basically what is it, Avatar, where they have the different like airbenders and firebenders and waterbenders and stuff. You're basically a waterbender. You are controlling water as it moves around on the page. So like you can have the water puddle if you want, you can have the water drip, you can splash water all over the place, and then, you know, if you add color to that, then it becomes a watercolor painting. But you don't have to add water color to it just to practice moving water, you know, because that's all it really is. And then what I would try is the wet on wet method of watercolor painting, and that is where you tape it all down. So like, say this is the paper, you tape it all the way down, and then you just like throw down a bunch of water. So you make everything damp, so it's like a big lake almost. I mean, maybe not that damp, but you get the idea. You get everything damp, and then just don't even paint. Just drop watercolor on there, right? Just drop water with the watercolor pigment in it, and just see what happens. Because it's going to do cool things. It's going to move around on the page. Depending on the type of paper you've got, it's going to like blot out, or if you've got your paper tilted, it's going to like, it's going to drip. It's going to do cool things, and that's going to inspire you to paint. Um, that's what it's like for me. And I'm not an expert on it, but that is what I enjoy doing when I do watercolor. It's almost the same with my coffee paintings. You know, I do spill coffee a lot. I spill coffee all over myself all the time. I drink a lot of coffee and it gets spilled. So I do have a little bit of an experience with what happens when coffee spills. So I feel like I had a little bit more experience with the coffee before I got into the watercolor. But that's my advice, I guess. Like without actually doing like a demo of how it works and stuff. But my advice, just telling you what to try, is to just like don't even try to make a painting. Just pretend that you're moving water around like a water bender and just have fun with it. And I think from there um, you'll start liking it and you'll start wanting to make something out of it. A lot of my drawings, like a lot of my drawing styles, like I go all over the place. Like this is probably a little bit more realistic than some of my pictures I've done in the past or recently. Um, a lot of my drawing techniques that I try and end up adopting come from just making a mess on the paper and then trying to find some image in it. You can go back to like a lot of my earlier videos. Please don't. Actually, they're terrible. But you can kind of see like a similar thing through all of them of like what I do. And it really doesn't matter what medium it is. It can be charcoal or pastel or watercolor or I've tried some other paints and stuff. I'm not there yet on those, so I don't have any real advice on like acrylics and stuff. But probably I would start off, with the same sort of advice, where I'm telling you kind of the same principles. But what I like to do is I like to make a mess, and then kind of like look at that as like an ink blot, like the Rorschach ink blot test. Maybe you don't know that, but like looking up at the clouds, everybody knows that, right? So like you look up to the clouds and you see dinosaurs, you see the elephants, you see all that. So I like to make a mess on the paper and then see if I see any of that kind of stuff, and then kind of manipulate the paper a little bit, move things around and stuff until it becomes more like an elephant, more like a dinosaur, more like an iguana or whatever it is I'm drawing. You know, um, I don't think that alone is going to get you a finished piece of art, but it's certainly going to move you in the right direction. So like if you started off doing that, you will eventually get to where you want to be. It's a great way to start with any medium, I think. It's just blot and on the paper, just mess about with it, see what happens, and go from there. Um, there's probably some better advice. People do say that like if you're going to invest in something, the paper is more important than the paints. That's probably true. Um, but I do think that you can start off with everything being like student grade and still create some really cool stuff. I mean, you got to remember, I'm still a student myself. So like I'm a self-taught artist. So I go through and I just try things to see if they work. And when I come on here and I pass this stuff on to you, it's just stuff that through trial and error I learned myself. It's not like I took a course on watercolor or anything like that. I mean, I tried so many mediums. Like, I can't imagine what it would be like if I took a course on every single one of them. Sometimes you just have to kind of like hold your nose and just try it, which is actually what I'm recommending. I recommend holding your nose and be like, I'm just going to throw some paint on this and see what happens. And I think you're going to be surprised. It's going to look fairly decent pretty easily, you know. Rum Dog says good materials do help. Yes, that is true. That is what I heard as well. I'm just saying don't let the materials be the deterrent. I don't believe that. I I think that some people probably wait around or say I could be a better artist if I had this, right? I don't think that that's where your mindset needs to be. Maybe it's true. Maybe you could be a better artist if you had better material. Um, like certainly there's some things that I want to try that I don't have the material for, and I kind of like, man, I wish I had that material and stuff. But I don't look at it as like I could be a better artist if I had better paper, or I could be a better artist if I had better pencils or something like that. I look at it as like I want pencils so that I can try this type of art. I don't look at it as like I could be better if I had that. Even if it's true, I don't think that should be the deterrent. I think you should I think you should start off just by like just jumping in and trying something. You know, that's where your mindset should be. Like, I want to experiment. You know, I want to be like a scientist. I want to be an artist. You know, an artist experiments. Um, Neither you nor I will ever be a Da Vinci. That guy's just a master, right? So, like, I mean, maybe you might aspire to be like a Da Vinci. I'm not going to be a Da Vinci. That guy's just phenomenal, and I will never be like that. But I will say that that man, he was a scientist. You know, he like his art was a byproduct of his science. He 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 made observations. He watched birds in flight, and whereas nowadays we have video cameras and we can like capture a bird in flight and kind of like slow it down and see how the feathers work and stuff. No, he was doing that in real time. He's watching birds in flight, and his mind is translating that to images in his brain that he later drew. And that was his science. That's him being a scientist. He was making observations and capturing those observations. And then the fact that he was doing art was almost like a byproduct of the science that he was doing. I think that kind of curiosity, that kind of like mindset of exploring the world around you, that's where it's at. That's where you're going to excel as an artist. Now, I mean, I'm not telling you what you need to do to be a paid artist or like, you know, professional artist or get anybody to buy your artwork or anything like that. I'm just saying if you love to create art, um, that's where your head needs to be at. Your head needs to be at. I am observing the world around me, and I am making a record of it. You know, so it's I mean, I'm not there. Like I'm talking about these things as if like these are things that I do. Not really. I mean, they're where I want to be. They're not where I'm at. So like it's one of those do as I say, not do as I do. Um, I would like to really be at that point though. I think it would be kind of cool to just like be drawing nature, just for the sake of drawing nature. You know, drawing what you see, drawing what you've experienced. I mean, a lot of people do that. I just think that that's the way you need to be looking at it. I was watching YouTube last night, and the person was watching. I was watching was using these power paints. They had a yoke to. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. So like we go up and you know, I don't want you to be waiting around for the perfect art supplies when people have been doing this for like thousands of years. You know, people have been painting, mentioning Leonardo da Vinci, that was like 500, 600 years ago. And, you know, they didn't have technology, right? So, like, I'm pretty sure some machine made this pastel pencil. You know, the pastels in it is pigment with a binder rolled up in wood. I'm pretty sure that went through some machine. They didn't have that crap back then. That didn't stop them from creating art. Some of the earliest art out there is pastel, essentially. It's some sort of dry pigment on a cave wall where somebody was just spitting pigment around their hands, and so like they were making outlines of their hands. Um, you know, they weren't waiting around for Hobby Lobby to have their preferred pastels. They're like, no, we're just going to create some art because why not, right? I don't even know if they had a concept that people in 2025 would be looking at their art and appreciating it and stuff like that. I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they were just recording this stuff. I don't even know if they had a sense of like they were recording it for the future or anything like that. It's just what they did because human beings have to express themselves. It's just what we do. We have to. Um, you know, and maybe not all of us are artists, but we all express ourselves somehow through some creative means. Um, I don't know what that is. It's something deep in our psychology, I guess. But it is what we do, and it is what we've always done, you know, historically and stuff. So, what was the question? Because I also want to do watercolors and draw my dog. I just wasn't sure how to start out. Okay, all right. So you want to draw your dog. Um, so the other thing is, you know, watercolors is going to get you half there. The other half of it is the drawing of your dog. So you're going to, you could be drawing, you could be painting with with pastels, or you could be drawing with paint. So, like, essentially, if you want to get a realistic dog, you're also going to pick up some drawing skills. But to start off with, it's the same concept, whether you're doing it with a pencil or you're doing it with watercolor. Um, you are I would start by just getting the medium, whatever it is, whether you're drawing in pencil or you're drawing with watercolor, and just practice moving things around and stuff to see how it goes. So, specifically with watercolor, I would get the paper all damp and just drop watercolor on it just to see how water moves on the paper. I think that's important. And then the second thing is, once that's dried, I would practice coming back over it with additional stuff, just to see how that works. Because I think most art really consists of like three layers. One is a background layer that's kind of like a little bit blurred out. If you think of it in terms of a photo, so it's something that's like super blurry. Like if I was drawing my face or like myself here, this would all be super blurry. And then over that, I would be adding some darker details, and then over that, I would be adding some lighter details. Um, so you could practice with that. Start with that. Now, it is important. The watercolor doesn't work like these other mediums. And with watercolors, you are working from light to dark. Okay, so like a lot of times when you paint, like if I were painting in oils or acrylics or even with pastels, I'm working from darks to lights. So like I may start off, like if this paper wasn't already black, I may start with all the darker colors and then build up a layer of lighter colors on top of that, and then finally like a highlight layer. Um, it's the exact inverse with watercolor, because watercolors are transparent. That's an important thing to remember. What you paint in watercolor, if you come back over it, whatever you come back over it with, it's going to show the layers beneath it. So if you think about that, you can't really start with black, because if you did black, because watercolor is transparent, you're not going to be able to do anything over the black. So you always start with your lightest colors first, and then build into your shadows and stuff like that. So like if the side of this iguana's face is dark, I would start with this over here, this light, and then build into those shadows, and then paint the shadows. So that's kind of important to know with watercolors. So that's probably that's probably one of the first things that you should probably learn about watercolors, is it is transparent, and that matters a lot actually when you're like mixing colors and stuff. I don't worry about colors so much, because I'm gonna end up, like the way I use watercolors, I end up using something over them anyway. Um, but like say you want to make blue green, and you put down blue and then you come back over it with green and stuff like that. Those kind of things mix together because it's transparent. Um, Versus something like gouache. Gouache is like watercolor, but it's not transparent. It is opaque, and that's the major difference. If you're doing like green over blue in gouache, you're going to end up with green. You're not going to end up with this mix of those colors, really, because it's whatever you're putting on top is going to like go over that stuff below, if that makes sense. I know like a lot of it, like there's a lot to cover probably, but the basics are that I first off, I'm not your teacher, right? So like it doesn't really matter what I think. You can do whatever you want. But I would like to see you experiment with watercolor, just as a like an exercise of moving water around on paper. Like that's where I think it starts. I think it starts before you even add color or worry about the drawing of it or anything like that. If you just start by moving water around paper, you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to learn a lot of key concepts pretty quick. Like you're gonna see what happens when you mix, you know, blues and greens together, and you end up with blue green, or you mix yellows and reds together and it becomes orange. Now, you can learn all that from a book beforehand, but why not learn it while you're practicing? I think that'd be a lot more fun. And art is supposed to be messy, so you get the opportunity to create a mess. I think that'd be fun. Thanks for all your tips, Jeremy. I really appreciate it. I don't know how helpful they are, but I'm trying here. I'm, you know, a lot of times I get lucky doing stuff, and I don't really know how to like articulate what it is that you're supposed to get out of it. But I'm working on that. I'll get better at that, and I'll help you out as much as I can. I've been watching your streams. I've been wanting to start watercolor drawings, but I'm very nervous too. That's what I would hope that you would get over pretty quick. Don't be nervous. Who cares, right? Don't even start with the idea like that. That's kind of my whole point. Don't start with the idea that you're going to create any kind of art, any recognizable art. Like you want to do your puppy, right? Don't start with making your puppy. Oh, there's a movie quote for this, and I can't recall what it is, but like if you, it basically sums up, if you start by drawing your puppy, you're going to fail at drawing your puppy. If you start by just moving paper around, or water around on paper, you may end up with a puppy. And I think that that's probably, I don't know, like I feel like I'm paraphrasing that from something. I'd love to give it credit, but I don't remember where that came from. But in my mind, it's so true. If you start off trying to make a puppy, like if I start off trying to make an iguana here, I'm going to fail. But if I have fun and put a bunch of colors on the paper, it might end up looking like an iguana. So I know that barely makes any sense, but it makes sense to me. Just start by moving water around the paper. That's my best advice, and see how that works. See what that's about. And then once you learn that, well, once you do that, you're going to learn, some key concepts that you're going to pick up and actually create real art out of it. And then eventually, you moving around water on paper is going to look like a dog. Kid says, "This guy is looking good so far." I feel like Kid is being generous. Like this is definitely in some rough phases. Um, the problem is there's so many details. There's so many details in this iguana's face. Um, I would struggle with that. Like I always worry how much I can get into, like an hour and a half or whatever this ends up being. How much detail and art can I get into this before I run out of time? And this one's a little bit more challenging as well because I can't do my normal technique. So my normal technique is I put down like paint and I rely on the paint to kind of fill in some of those gaps. I can't do that here because like this is black paper. What I probably should have done is instead of doing black paper, I should have done black paint and then kind of controlled where the black paint ended up on the paper. That would have been cool. But in any case. So, like, some of these things that I say on this channel, some of these things are things I'm figuring out like independently, and also I do spend a lot of time watching other people's things. So, like, I don't have any formal schooling. I didn't go to art school or, I mean, I took a couple classes in high school, but I don't remember any of that. If I ever learned anything in high school, it was not art related. It was basically how to get in trouble. But uh, uh, the I do. Sorry, my point is, I do spend a lot of time watching other people, because I am all in on this stuff. I really want to become a better artist. Uh, you know, Up until a few years ago, I was just kind of like, oh, I can draw, sure, and I might draw a doodle every now and then. But now I'm actually trying to become a better artist. So, like you guys, I am actually spending time on it. I watch other people's videos. I watch tutorials of how people. I watch how they do it. So I don't even just listen to them. I watch what they're doing, and sometimes you can learn that way. Um, so, like, I didn't explain that I just put down a bunch of pigment and kind of blurred it out, but you can watch me do that, and you might learn something from watching me do that. I've been reading people's books. I've got a book over there on street art right now. That's something I plan to do when it starts getting warmer. I'm going to go out. I'm probably going to take my dad with me, actually. He's wanting to do this too, and we're going to create some art, probably with pastels or at least street chalk. Um, Out in the park. We're just going to go out there and sit down and create some art on the sidewalk like little kids and stuff, except that hopefully it looks a little bit better than maybe what a 5-year-old might do. But who knows? Maybe it won't. We'll see. Ben's like, honestly, Jeremy, you're a fucking gem. You are an artist. I appreciate that. Thank you. Coming from you guys, that's a compliment. I know that I don't know who's talking there. I don't know if that's Ben or if that's Ashley, but I know Ashley actually. She's very creative. Probably Ben is too. I would say, but definitely Ashley. She's very creative. I've seen some of her stuff. Like she does these bullet journals. I think that's kind of cool. Um, that's actually something I'm interested in. So like I don't have a sketchbook really, and I feel like a lot of artists do. I feel like I need to get a sketchbook, but also I feel like I want to do like an art journal where I'm kind of like creating stuff that is more like so that I can kind of capture a moment. I think that would be kind of cool. Like I don't know. I still fantasize about being the guy who goes to the bar and is sitting over in the corner having a Guinness, and drawing, people who are at the bar or, sitting in the coffee shop or something and drawing some of the patrons of the coffee shop. I want to be that kind of an artist, a person who's out in the world. I love the social media posts where people are, drawing people on trains and stuff like that, or on buses and stuff, and then by the time they get to their destination, they turn over and say, "Hey, here, I drew this for you," and stuff. That seems kind of creepy in a way, like somebody paying attention to you throughout the entire trip, but it's also kind of like, kind of cool. And I think that once you get over that awkwardness of, "Hey, I've been staring at you for the last 30 minutes," it might actually be, it might be something fun. I always imagine that that's the type of artist I want to be. Um, so, um, oh, my point was like art journaling might get me there. Like if I actually did get a sketchbook. The problem is I couldn't use these pastels, right? So like these pastels are basically chalk. So, everything's for its purpose. So I would have to pick up a different medium. I don't know if that'd be ink and markers or something like that, or a gouache. I always thought that painting would be kind of cool. Back to the difference between watercolor and gouache. You probably want to use both. Like I think it would be kind of cool to use both. Like if you adopted like an art style where you're doing both, I think that that's a winner. Um, because again, like I said, watercolor is transparent, so there's only so far you can go with that unless you're just all in on being a watercolor artist. I think that using gouache is like something that you come over and do details with and stuff. I think that that's probably a winning combination. So that's where I probably put my effort into. At some point, I probably would spend some time doing watercolor and gouache. This is challenging, by the way. What I'm doing here, I'm drawing scales and stuff. Like this is where it becomes like dragon kind of moment and stuff. But there's so many like little details in this neck area. I don't even know what this is. I think that this is like an ear or something on these guys. I don't remember my lizard anatomy. I don't. I spent some time in Florida. Oh, by the way, I've been around iguanas. I think I mentioned this before. My dad was in the military, and I was stationed in Guantanamo, Cuba. Where you hear about where they send all the bad people. Um, well, we used to live there when I was a kid, and my birthday is in December. But because it's so warm down there, we would spend my birthdays at the beach. So we would go to the beach, and we'd have pizza and cake and all that stuff. And there would be, because they're native there would be a bunch of little iguanas running around, almost like pigeons. Like here in the United States, we have pigeons and squirrels and stuff running around trying to get your food. Well, in Cuba, it was these iguanas. They would run. They were all over the place. Like they had an infestation of them at the time, and they were uh, they were running all over the place. And like I said, at the beach, they would sit there and they would try to get your hot dog or hamburger or whatever that you're eating. And they'd run all over the roads. People like they get run over all the time, almost like they're possums here in Kentucky. So like in Cuba, the roadkill was either iguanas or one time, um, my dad was a food inspector, but he was attached to the veterinary clinic just because of how the military works, um, which is like ass backwards, but that's how it worked. And he was working at the veterinarian office there, and they'd have all kinds of weird things come in. So one time, somebody ran over a boa constrictor, which is one of those huge snakes. gigantic snakes, almost like not quite as big as a python, but huge. They ended up skinning it, and they couldn't take it home with them because of import laws and stuff. But the I remember the skin of this boa constrictor took up the entire wall, so it was at least 8 feet or more. Um, but I remember we had boa constrictor stew, and I was a kid, but to me, it tasted like chicken. So I don't know. Like boa constrictor, in my mind, at least in my memory, tasted like chicken. But that's the kind of weird stuff that they had down there. But my point is, yeah, like these iguanas, they were everywhere. Not these colorful ones. The ones I remember from being a kid, they were all like they were all like dinosaur looking, like straight up looking like the dinosaur, like the grace. Like they think that dinosaurs were more colorful now. Like scientists and whatever, they think that dinosaurs ended up having like because they were like between reptiles and birds. So they believe that dinosaurs had feathers for one, but they also believe that they were super colorful, um, more like this. But I think the reason why they thought that dinosaurs used to be gray and green and what you see on Jurassic Park is because of iguanas, because iguanas are basically gray and green and kind of drab colors. Um, I got a little sidetracked here. Jeremy, the stream where you drew my Jack Russell a couple of years ago with 3 hours and 10. Wow, I'm getting better then. Nice. Um, Warhorse Kabar says, do it like an 18th or 19th century naturalist diary sketchbook. Hey, I am right ahead of you. I am a huge fan of Audubon, the guy who did all the bird paintings. Huge fan. So if I did adopt that style, which is basically like an illustrator style, um, I would love to do that kind of stuff, like the Audubon guy. I think there's a museum in Charleston. I was down there visiting my brother who used to live down there, and I think it was closed because we were out bar hopping. But I always wanted to go in there, and I think they have a museum in Charleston, South Carolina, for that Audubon guy where they have all of his illustrations and stuff. So yeah, I love that style. I really do. I love that scientific art style. And there's ways to make it look more interesting. I've seen people, take line drawings and apply a little bit of color to it, and give a splash of style. I would probably try to do that myself, for better or worse. Just because it's not all science, it is like I want to create like a cool, like basically when I'm done, I want a cool sketchbook where, well, I mean, we've been talking about treasure hunting. I grew up watching not just Indiana Jones, but like especially that last, not the last one. It's been many years, but the Last Crusade, which actually came out many many years ago and was not the Last Crusade. In that, Indiana Jones Senior had like this journal where he would draw like in his Grail diary, essentially, like some of the medieval art and stuff he encountered on his studies. I always loved that concept. And when I was a kid, I lived in this fantasy world where everything I did was like based on some movie or something like that. Um, so I wanted to be Indiana Jones because they had the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles where as a kid he was doing the same thing. So he had like this little journal where he was keeping drawings and observations he made along all of his adventures. And even though I was like a teenager at the time and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I want to be that. I want to do that. So I got myself like a little blank journal and stuff, and I used to try to do that stuff. I miss doing that. I would love to get back into doing that. Um, but yeah, that's where my inspiration came from, like watching young Indiana Jones and Indiana Jones Senior, drawing like I don't know, like um, stained glass windows in Venice or something like that that led to treasures and all that. It's not even it was all inspired by treasure hunting, but it wasn't really about treasure hunting. It was more about like, hey, that's just cool. I want to be an artist and I want to I want to like keep a journal like like a scientist or something. It's all make believe. Like I'm surprised I ever got a career because everything in my mind was just make believe. It's like I'm even like when I started programming, it was like I'm going to pretend to be a programmer. Like it wasn't like I went to school to be a programmer. It's just I'm going to pretend to be a programmer, and then one day I was. Um, so like, if you ever heard that term, I'm sure everybody has. If you've ever heard the term "fake it until you make it," I'm a living example of that because like literally everything I've ever done in life, um, it's just I didn't know that I couldn't do it. So it's like I just tried it, and then eventually, trial and error and stuff. I was decent at it, um, and that's certain. There's certainly something to be said about my approach with art being very similar to that. But yeah, it is true that that is my approach to art. Fake it till you make it. Just try to create a picture, or actually, not even trying to create a picture. Like I said, just move some water around on a piece of paper, and then let that guide you. And then once you've mastered that, try to create a picture out of it. Um, and then it's gonna suck. It's gonna look terrible. Um, so then you do another one. Like, just don't give up, like, because it's going to be bad. Like, go into it knowing it's going to be bad, and just be like, well, what can I learn from this, rather than how do I keep myself from making mistakes? Because like you're going to make a mistake. Instead, it's all about, well, what can I learn from this mistake, rather than how do I prevent it? And from there, you're going to end up one day you're going to make something that you're happy with. And then here's another tip: when you do create that thing that you're happy with, you're going to be frustrated the next picture because you're not going to be able to duplicate it. So you're going to go off and you're going to create something that you're proud of. And I've got some examples of this from like my first year of doing drawings and stuff. There was a couple that I was pretty happy with. I was like, man, that is really cool. I am not just an artist, I'm a pretty good artist, right? Well, guess what? I go and try to do it again and I couldn't do it. And it's like that first picture was like kind of a fluke. And you just have to realize that's going to happen, and you're going to be frustrated by it. And you're going to be like, why can't I duplicate this thing when I did it before? Why can't I do it again? And the truth of it is that it really is just practice, and it's just like doing the same thing over and over again until you get it right. Um, I see this on an evolutionary scale, where this is somewhere in the middle of where I want to be and where I was. Somewhere in the middle is this piece, and from there, that takes a lot of the pressure off of it, honestly, because I'm not trying for perfection, because perfection is some future Jeremy, which doesn't really exist. There is no perfection. Um, but I try not to, and I try not to put that kind of pressure on me. And this is really good advice for you, Kinsley. Is like, do not try to be the artist that you will be. That doesn't sound right, but it is true. So one day you're going to be a really good artist. I believe that. Like, I don't even have to like look at your art. I just know it, because I know that you are going to stick with this. Even if you forget about this at some point, you're going to come back to it at some future date. So I know that at some point you're going to be an excellent artist, and that one day you will get there. The important thing that I want you to think about is that you're not there yet, and there's no reason why you have to be. One day you will be, and just believe in that. So in the meantime, there's these little tiny baby steps that get you there, and you have to walk that road. You can't just like skip to the end. A lot of people try it, it never works. So the confidence that you have to have, because the funny thing is, no artist has any confidence. Okay, I want to put that out there. So like when I say confidence, I'm lying a little bit, but it is true. Um, the confidence that you pretend to have, because you're not going to have any, you're going to hate your artwork, is what I'm getting at. The confidence that you're going to pretend to have is not in your skills at the present, but as in the skills that they will one day be. So, and like I'm speaking in terms of art, but this is true of anything. So like, if you want to participate in sports, that's not my thing, but it's I hear sports is popular. Um, so like, say you want to participate in sports, say you want to be a runner or something like that. Um, you know, your first couple of times running, you're not going to be that fast. Like I think I could probably run a mile myself in maybe 10 minutes or something. But what's the record? It's maybe like 3 to 4 minutes or something like that. People build up to that, and if they actually thought about where they are versus where they want to be and stuff, it's easy to give up, but like you really have to believe in that future self, and you have to believe in that future self, and not just believe in that future self, believe it as if it's going to happen because of what you're doing now, right? And that's important. You have to tie it to the moment. Um, so I know that future self of mine that has art that's in galleries and selling for billions of bucks or whatever. I don't know what art sells for. Um, or it's like at the museum sitting alongside of my heroes like Da Vinci or like Van Gogh or something like that. I know that in order to get to there, I have to draw this stupid iguana. If I don't draw this stupid iguana, I'm never going to be able to do that. That's the way you need to look at it, I think. That's my philosophy, at least. Draw the stupid iguana so that you can draw the beautiful art later. So for your to answer your question that you asked like a half hour ago, probably, the you have to get some water and you have to get a piece of paper and you got to get a brush and just move that water around the paper because one day that will be a dog. It's not going to be at first, but one day if you move enough water around on a piece of paper, you're going to have a dog. I mean, you probably already have a dog, but you're going to have a picture of a dog. There you go. Jerry, you just put the big smile on my face. You're the one who inspired me to want to try this. Cool. I probably can't tell you how to draw, but I can try to inspire you. I'm more interested in that because that's going to have more payoff. You're going to learn how to draw, but you need to believe that you can, and that's what I'm here to hype you up. That is my job. I'm going to hype you up and tell you that you can draw, and then you can figure out how to draw later. But that's somebody else's job. Yeah, I like that. The hype master. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to put that on a business card. I am here to hype you up. Whoops. My main problem with doing art is my confidence. It is everybody's problem, and that is something you just have to get over. And like I said, I mean, the best way is to stop thinking about it. You have to get out of your own head. And for me, again, that's thinking of future Jeremy, and realizing that it takes steps to get there, and that's okay. You don't have to be really good at art out of the box. Nobody is, but you do have to believe that one day you can be. And that's where I think a lot of people fail, is that they actually don't believe that they could ever be good at art. And that's unfortunate because I actually believe that everybody can be. And that's not just my opinion. That's what most people think. That's what the research says. That's what all the artists who teach say. Art is not something that you're born with. It is something we do. Like all of us do it to some degree. So it is an action, and it is something that everybody does to a different degree. And it's like any other action. Like if you play sports, you're going to get stronger. You're going to get faster, and it's not like you have to think about it too much. You just do it, and you do it enough times, and you get better at it. That is what art is. It is like learned behavior. Sorry, I'm keep burping on pizza. I'm trying to drop. I'm trying to give you like good life advice and also burping up pizza. So sorry about that. Yeah. So anyway, whoops. It's like anybody can do art. I mean, that's art too. Like you just like if you do ever throw up on your paper, just kind of mess it about with a brush and call it art. But no, I do think that people need to realize that like it is a muscle, and that you do have to train. And you're not going to be drawing a puppy straight off, but you know what? You can get really good at moving water around on a piece of paper, and that's step one. And I really do think you'll have a lot of fun doing that. Like I said, just throwing some watercolor on a canvas or I say canvas, but it's a piece of paper, that is damp and stuff, and just watching the paint kind of move around and stuff. It's so much fun. I think that like that's the other thing. If you're having fun, you're going to continue doing it. How are we doing on time? Ugh. Well, we got a face here, so that's good. All right. When I grow up and get better at art, I'm going to remember everything you told me and never give up. Nice. That's what it's all about. Um, you getting better at art is all about me. So I'm glad that you are going to remember, um, where you got to start. You know, all joking aside, uh, I think you're going to do fine. You're going to do great because you want to, and that's what's most important. Like there's something to be said. Yeah, there's something to be said about wanting something really bad and not having any kind of skill. Um, because like that's true of some things. But again, like I said, art is a learned behavior. So if you really really want it, it is something that you can acquire. I didn't draw like this when I started. I draw terribly. Um, but I've been practicing and stuff, and this isn't where I'm going to be here in a few years. Like I believe that here in a few years I'm going to be awesome one day. If a kid keeps challenging me with these difficult pictures, because this one was kid now that I recall, and I remember looking at this picture and I'm like, there is no way I'm going to be able to get that done in an hour and a half. But nope, got to do it because kid challenged me. If you keep taking on challenges, you will get there because like that is actually the biggest way to like learn things. I think is like by taking on challenging projects. So like whatever scares you, whatever intimidates you, and you're like, I can't do that. That's the thing that you need to try. I say that a lot on this channel, and I believe it. So like, you know, if you think you can't do something, give it a try and find out for sure. Hey, don't get me wrong. There are some things I know I cannot do now, but it's because I tried them. I was like, let me try to like I'm not that great at doing portraits yet. I'm still working on that. Some of them are okay, some of them aren't. But I'm like, I'm kind of curious if I can do a portrait. So I sit down, I get out a piece of paper and a reference photo, and I'm like, let me try this. And sometimes it comes out great, and other times it don't. So you know what I learned from that? I learned that yes, I can do portraits, but I'm not very consistent at it, and I need to practice. Because I can do portraits, I know that it is possible. Because I can't do it on a whim, I know that and I need more work. And that's how it goes. And one day I'll get there to where I will be able to do it without much effort. Um, just like, I don't know, a runner. A runner can run a mile in 4 minutes if they put in the effort without much effort at all if they practice and, all that jazz. I can't do that. Probably have a heart attack. Maybe running is like not a very great skill based thing. I like the compare. Baseball season. It's baseball season, I think. Um, being able to hit a ball, being able to, like throw a ball. Like I have trouble with that, like just playing catch. Um, being able to throw a ball, like you might do in baseball, that's a learned behavior. You don't just start off throwing balls and they end up where they're supposed to go. People play catch. They practice and stuff, and eventually you get good at it. Video games. People play video games a lot. There's a reason video games are designed the way they are. It is so that by the time you get to the boss, you defeat the boss, you already have that kind of muscle memory and that kind of skill, like ingrained in your fingers and stuff, and you know how to beat that big bad guy. They don't put you up against the big bad guy straight off because you don't have that kind of stuff there, and you from the get go. you have to practice. I like this guy. He's looking pretty good. I don't know if he's far along as he needs to be, but he's getting there. Let's see. I think I'm going to switch to this um, stick pastel just so that I can kind of like get some of this stuff in here a lot quicker. I think I've got like a lot of detail in the face, so I'll come back to that. But I wanted to make some progress, I think, on these other items. I keep burping up that pizza. Oh, I got to stop eating before I do these shows. Gotta wait until after. I am like, looking forward to that documentary that I was talking about earlier. I think it's going to be kind of cool. When we get together with our neighbors, we play crazy games. So that I suggested our next get together, we draw names and everyone has to draw the person whose name. That is awesome. That is great. I like that. A lot of couples are doing that, which I think is kind of cool. Um, some of you guys know Shiloh. Shiloh is getting married soon, and that's something I think that he did with his fiance. Um, like I think that they as part of like couples whatever growing closer or something, they decided to do that as a couple because he ended up putting his pictures on eBay, and they're not bad for like first time out. But he drew her, and she drew him, and I think it was like a date night kind of thing. So I think that's kind of cool. So if you're doing that with your neighbors and stuff, that's really kind of cool. Good thing we don't have smell-o-vision. Yeah, because I'm over here burping all over the place and stuff. Plus, it basically smells like a distillery in here anyway because I drink a lot of bourbon. It's a cross because I actually work in the same room. I smells a cross between bourbon, coffee, and pizza burps, which is a fun combination. It's all good. It's a little bit tougher drawing on black paper because like a lot of times the pigment in your medium and stuff comes through better with white as like the background and stuff. I mean, you can still do it, but you have to make that extra effort to make things really luminous, I guess. That's another thing. The reason why I'm probably not very good teacher is because I don't know words very well. So I will try to make up a word. I get that from my dad. He makes up words all the time. But I will try to find the right word in my memory. I have an okay vocabulary, I think. Not perfect. Well, I think you're supposed to have like the vocabulary of a sixth grader anyway. Like if you ever want to teach, because you don't want to say words that people don't understand anyway. But yeah, I don't have the right words, especially since I didn't go to school for this. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe like some of these techniques. I was trying to think of there's a type of underpainting where everything is green and then you kind of come back over it and add flesh tones, like magenta and stuff to create like like my skin color. Um, I was thinking of that technique and stuff, and it escaped me. I couldn't think of it and everything, but that I do know that it's a verdaccio, but I still don't know how to pronounce it. So even when I know words that I'm supposed to use, I don't know how to use them properly. I don't know how they're pronounced. Verdaccio, I believe, is like an Italian word. I don't know what it means, but it is like the underpainting that Renaissance people used to do um, to like give their give their art this really great natural like flesh tone color. Mm, oh, there's a pastel somewhere around here. There you go. I always need this lighter blue, so I'm going to use that. This one's like a lot brighter. So talking about the street art I'm gonna be doing, I'm pretty excited about it actually because like it is drawing in pastels on the pavement. And like I said, I got a book on it and stuff like that. Apparently there's these festivals where people do this stuff all the time, and I think that's just so cool. And I want to practice and get to the point where I'm good at it so that I can go to these festivals and stuff like that. But what I really like about it, to be honest, is that it is that whole temporary nature of art that I talk about. Like, I love the idea of temporary art. Oh, you got a puppy coming Saturday. That's awesome, Rome. What kind of puppy? It's going to be a cute puppy. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be like a little adorable one. You going to name it Rome as well, or are you going to give it a different name? Or that's awesome. That's like having a kid. It's like, yeah, I mean, you could just said like, I'm gonna be a dad. That's awesome. I really love that. That's great news. So, fortunately, as you move further away from the face, you can get a little more experimental with the colors. So that's good. A little more experimental with the colors and a little bit more broad with your brush or like your marks. I guess they're called, not brush strokes. Well, you're not painting. Yeah, that's very cool. So his name is Smooch. Nice. That's cute. You gonna do YouTubes on them and stuff like you did before? Because that'd be cool. So trying to figure this out, but I think I can kind of abstract a little bit of this they got this kind of like I don't know what you would call it, but whatever these are called. Like, I can't think of what they're called. These little spikes that are kind of coming out the back. I think I can kind of abstract that a little bit and just kind of suggest them without going like too far into detail, just to kind of move along and get some of this stuff done. But notice how I'm varying the colors. So like I'll start with some uh, some darker colors up here, and then kind of move into like some brighter colors down here, just to break that up, and also give the hint that there's some like highlights coming in here. All right, I want to get these little spikes in here. I don't like that color. Use this instead. Trying to find homes for 7 puppies Saturday. Wow. You guys must have like, I don't know, some like little rescue shelter or something like that going on over there. I think that's cool. I feel like, they should have puppies on standby at school. That's what they need. They should have a puppy for every class, just to make I don't know. Like I feel like it would be like pretty stressful to be a kid nowadays in class and stuff like that. They should have a therapy puppy in every class where I don't know. I don't know who takes care of them. Maybe it's just like a class project or something like that where like the students all participate. Um, but I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know why I just thought of that, but for some reason I think that schools should have puppies in them. Maybe I just want to see a bunch of puppies find homes. I don't know who'd pay for that. I feel like taxes or something would have to pay for that, and that's not. I pay a lot of taxes, so I don't know about that. Maybe that's a bad idea, Jeremy. But I feel like the kids could take care of the puppies and stuff, and that can be like part of the lessons they learn or something. I don't know. I don't know how school works. I some kids learn things in school. I don't know. Lots of little dots. I'm just gonna stipple some of this stuff in. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's very satisfying just to hear this like someone's like a little machine gun or something just tapping at this or like a sewing machine. There you go. Tapping at the paper. Yeah, that's very rewarding. So sometimes I don't even know how I'm going to do something. So there's like this weird texture here where the skin is like I mean it's a reptile, right? So it's got like this weird reptilian skin, and I'm looking at it and I'm like I don't know how to pull that off. But you know, apparently I can do stipple with this, so I'm just going to stipple it and go from there. It's just a bunch of little dots. And maybe over this I'll add some. And that's a lot of dots. I just realized how much detail is going into this. Kid, giving me challenges. Sometimes says, "This is fire." Thanks. My name is Stitch. Hey, there's a new Lilo and Stitch coming out, I hear, which is awesome. Sorry, I'm a fan of shows like that. I just finished up the Spider-Man series, the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man series on Disney Plus that just recently came out. It's good. I enjoyed it. It's really good. Um, you know, I was a little concerned. Always iffy with Disney Plus. Like I'm not a huge fan of like What If. Like I thought that that could use some work, especially like this last season. Um, so, but I was pleasantly surprised with Spider-Man, and I was super surprised with X-Men '97. That was really good. So, like, I feel like they've stepped up their game, and even though What If wasn't all that great, they're still banging out good stuff with Spider-Man and X-Men and things like that. So that's a problem with Disney. They're a little inconsistent. Sometimes they're really good at what they do, and then other times they're just terrible. So I'm using this yellow here because I just realized that that makes a nice little highlight over some of this stuff. Even though I'm like a little concerned about time, I'm still putting in like unnecessary detail and stuff. I am a little bit concerned about time. Maybe I might just get the face done and stuff, and I may have to come back and do the other stuff later. We'll see. But that is one of the things I kind of pride myself on with this channel and stuff. I'm decent at getting things done in the time specified. It may not be like a complete finished work of art, you know, that's ready for like the museum wall or something like that, or even like your, you know, the wall in your house or something. Um, but am way better at getting things done in a decent amount of time. Like Kid said, I took 3 hours to draw her dog, and I remember her dog had quite a bit of detail, but I feel like I'm just faster at laying down stuff now. I need to redraw your dogs, to be honest. Like I want to go back and redo all the ones that people put faith in me to do early in my practicing. Like I want to go back and redo all that artwork. It's kind of a redo on everything. Probably not gonna anytime soon, but I would like to redo some of the pictures that I've done. You know, that's what kind of sucks about doing traditional art. If you do digital, you know, and you get better at stuff, you can just kind of erase the stuff that you had before and replace it or something like that. But if you do like physical, actual artwork, like traditional, I guess, man, that's just sad that they call it traditional art now instead of just plain art. But if you do traditional art, you are kind of stuck with whatever you ended up with. Road Dog says you got a lot faster in the new technique from the old stuff you learned. Awesome. Yeah, I do think that things have gotten a little bit quicker. And then also it's like, you know, as long as you get the face done and stuff, you can kind of go a little bit faster on some of these other things here, I think. Also, like, you can come back and touch some of this stuff up later. Cool. All right. I'll worry about that kind of stuff later. I think what I'll do is I'll come back with a pencil and kind of work on that. So I got to get a little bit of his, what are we doing on time? All right. So all these little tiny little panels of scales. That's what they're called. They're called scales. It's like a dragon, you know. Like honestly, this would be an awesome dragon. Like if I put like some fire in them and stuff like that, that would be cool. Be into that. But yeah, like you know, just you don't have to do much to suggest these things, and you can always come back and add more later and stuff. And have some of them kind of dip down and bunch of neutral tiny stippled dots, scales. Because there's all like black in between them and stuff like that. Plus, I like drawing, like, you know, like holding my pencil like this. Makes me feel like a real artist. You know, you can do it like this too, but that's boring. Just stab at it. Yeah. That's cool. A little bit. A bit of darkness back here, so it's not all like one color. I think I'm going to have to a little bit of blue in there as well. Yeah. It's okay that that doesn't have like a ton of detail to it, but it all just being one solid color and stuff is starting to bother me. So I gotta break that up a little bit. All right, so I'll come back and I'll work some more back here later, maybe off camera or something like that. But need to get more of his arm in here. Now you're getting inspired. There we go. I mean, I may not be able to create like perfect art or whatever, but I like to inspire people. So if you're inspired by this, that makes me feel good. Honestly, that is something I get out of watching other people do art as well. So right there with you. Like I watch other people's art sometimes throughout the day. There is this one painter. Oh, I forget his name. I need to get better at doing that. Like whenever I notice something and I want to share it with you guys, I need to remember their names. But there's this one painter. He does live streams where he spends 5 hours doing a painting and stuff. And it is not this kind of art. This is like master art, like Rembrandt kind of art. Um, but he spends like 5 hours a day on a painting, and they may come back to it the next day. That's how much time he spends on these things, and it's just phenomenal. Sometimes, sometimes I enjoy just watching that throughout the day, just to chill while I'm doing other things. Check in every now and then and be like, "Wow, look at what that guy did." So obviously, I'm faster than him, but no, he's just way better at it. Like, yeah, that guy sucks because it takes 2 days to create it. No, I'm just kidding. That guy really is a master. Um, it's so weird to like actually see modern masters creating stuff that you thought they only created in history or something. You know, like it's easy to look back at somebody like um, what's the guy's name? Sargent, who does portraits. Like he was a very prolific portrait artist. I think in the 19th century, maybe 18th century. I don't know. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. I'll have to look it up. But John Sargent, amazing portrait artist, and I would consider him a master. So then when you see somebody creating art to that scale now, you're like, where am I going wrong? Why can't I do that? So that's what I see as inspiration. Is like when you look at something and you're like, why can't I do that? And like, how do I make that happen? It may just because you don't have the skills yet, and by you I mean me. I don't have the skills yet. I don't have the time. I don't have all the stuff that it takes to create that. But that is inspiring because I look at that and I'm like, one day that will be Jeremy. I like talking about myself in third person when I do this kind of stuff. But um, I'm like, yeah, one day I will be that kind of an artist. And I'm not in any hurry. I don't need to be great now. I just need to be better than before. You know, that's the way I look at it. That is how my goal setting works. It's like I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be better than I was this time last year, or something like that. Basically, I look at these things in terms of progress. Yeah, there you go. That's where my goals are, or like that's the way I look at it. Like if I'm making progress, I'm happy. If I'm not making progress, I'm not down in the dumps because it's not like you only get one shot. You actually have many shots at getting better at things. Let's see. All right. I need to make some progress over here so that you guys can see where the entire guy is going to be. Let's see, I'm going to do this here. I think I'm going to just get all these little dots in here. Oh, yeah, I thought maybe that was broke. All right, I'm still going to use it, but I'm using the pencil and I notice that this is like moving on me weird. It's because it's actually broke. I hate that. That's what kind of sucks about working with pastel pencils, because like they do break easy. So this one's got a little break up in here somewhere and stuff. So if I press too hard on it, Sorry, if I press too hard on it, it moves it. But it's still in there enough where I can kind of use it. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to be a little more gentle with it so it doesn't fall out. Hey, Coopart! Nice. I don't know. For some reason, Coopart comes in with a big old like exclamation point. It just makes me happy. Every time Coopart comes in, it's just like, I don't know. Fills me with joy. I like it. Yes. I get like honestly, this is like the highlight of my day, hanging out with you guys. You are all special in your own different ways and stuff. Just hanging out with you guys just fills me with joy. So I wanted to let you guys know that if I hadn't recently or whatever. Thank you. Thank you for being a viewer of my show. Thank you for talking with me. Thank you for giving me shout outs. Each and every one of you guys, I appreciate. So hopefully you guys enjoy hanging out with me as much as I enjoy hanging out with you guys, because I really do. Miss Me Tuesday. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I try. I mean, there are days when I'm not going to be able to be here. There's some days when I'm in a funk and I just don't feel like it, you know. That's not the reason why I didn't make it this week, but I reserve the right to be in a funk. um, like I want to get to the point where I could create art on demand, but largely, I'm still in this headspace where I have to be in the mood, and sometimes that's challenging, especially if like I had like a long day or things didn't go my way or something like that. And I'm like looking back at the day like, oh man, this day sucked. Now, sometimes my day sucks and this is the cure, right? So like if my day sucks, I'm like, oh, I want to go and do some art because my day sucked, you know? And then other times it's like, oh, my day sucked. I don't really feel like doing art today, you know? Kind of sucks because like I promised people I would be in there and stuff, but I'm just not there today. That happens sometimes. Not all that often, but I am I am not naturally a person who is depressed often. I'm usually in a good mood. But sometimes things weigh on me, especially if uh especially if things just kind of sucks in general. I have a friend who's she's in her 80s. She's pretty high up in her 80s actually, and I don't know exactly how old she is, but she's up there, and she has a grown daughter who recently passed away from cancer, and that sucks. Like I'm sitting there thinking like, she's in her 80s and stuff like that, but she's outlived her own daughter. Like sometimes that kind of stuff bothers me. So I learned about that earlier in this week and stuff, and that kind of bothered me. That's not the reason I didn't come on live uh, Tuesday, but that's the sort of stuff that brings me down. That happens every now and then. Let's see, trying to get some. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we still got. I'm gonna spend maybe another 10, 15 minutes on this, and we'll call it. I just want to get these like little. I don't know what these are called. Are these called like horns? They're not horns, are they? They're not scales. What are these? I feel like I should know these things before I come on live stream. And yeah, I'm gonna draw this animal that I barely know anything about. But I always know what you're gonna work on. So I hate having to reach across the paper to get this in there. Or I feel like if I had one more hour, I can get this thing totally slamming. But that's not the way it goes. Sometimes you just have to crank things out, Jeremy. Reach across the paper like this. Highlight on that one. I think these are horns. They're kind of like horns. We'll look up. Oh yeah, you don't have to look up what they're called. Sometimes, sorry, Kinsley, I should point out, like if you've been around a while, you probably realize this. I just wonder things. I don't really care what the answer is. I just kind of wonder out loud what they are. So I don't particularly care. Like I'm gonna call them a horns, and if they're not horns, then that's okay. And if I did find out what they actually are called, I will forget them almost instantaneously anyway. Like, don't care. Chin horns. We're gonna call them chin horns. Yeah, there's a lot of details in this, and it does, you know, take up a bit of time, but that's okay. I think it's coming together. I think in the next 5, 10 minutes and stuff, I'll have most of the body work on this, and then maybe I'll come back later off camera and do some touch ups and stuff like that. But I feel like, for the most part, this guy's there. So, um, I did something similar to this guy recently. Most of you guys saw it, unless you're new to the channel or something like that. I did a rooster, and it's kind of the same thing. And doing that rooster is probably a good precursor to doing this iguana. Like, I learned a little bit off of doing the waddle, I think it's called on that. Um, so, you pick up like little skills and stuff like that that you apply to other artwork. And then that's kind of back to Kinsley's question about how do you go from like knowing nothing about watercolor to making dog portraits and stuff. It really is like like just a list of little things that you've tried that all come together to create that dog, right? So like at some point you're going to learn how to create fur. At another point you're going to create eyes. You're going to create watercolor you know backgrounds. You're gonna like learn how to blend colors, composition, and you're gonna learn this over a series of pictures. It's going to take a long time, but that's the way it goes. And every little thing you learn kind of comes together into like all your future pictures and stuff like that. So that's the way it goes. That's why we love it. You never stop learning. Honestly, like that's a huge part of the appeal. Like I don't want to stop learning. I want to learn new things every time. Like the day that I'm not learning new things is probably the day I'm gonna call this done because it's gonna be boring at that point. Like who wants to just be good at everything they do? You know, I'd rather not be good and struggle a little bit so that it's a bit of a challenge. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna like not have a problem with that anytime soon. Like I'm gonna be struggling for a while, but I like the struggle. I'd rather struggle than just be excelling at everything. Um, Another little Jeremyism, I guess. One of my core philosophies is, you know, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. And I think that would apply to like skill sets as well. So like if you're the most capable guy in the room, you're probably not in the right room. So you should always be trying a level above. Like if you've mastered something, you should stop doing that and move on to something you haven't mastered because I mean, it sounds like a little sadistic, but yeah, yeah. I mean, you're meant to struggle. Like you are an artist. It's what we do. We struggle. We 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 are always second guessing ourselves. We are always like, man, I hate this work that I just did. We're always critical. It's what we do. And I'm not saying that like you should dwell upon these things. It's just something that's going to be creeping through your brain as you're doing your work. Um, and it sucks and it's also awesome. It's like one of the best things and worst things about what we do. Like it's it's not good. It makes you it makes you really wonder about things, but it's also not bad because these are the things that you're supposed to be wondering about. It's part of the experience. You as the artist and stuff are the person who thinks about things. Um, the guy flipping burgers at McDonald's, he's not thinking about things. He's just flipping burgers. He's wondering about what he's doing tonight, playing his video game or something like that. You, as the artist, you're sweating how to make an iguana. You know, those are real problems that you're worried about. You're the person who's probably going to end up caring about things like philosophy and music and the finer things in life. There's all kinds of different people. There's people out there who have a head for numbers, and then there's people out there who have heads for creativity and spatial, um, construction and stuff like that. I'm in a situation where I'm kind of both, but I really want to more develop my creativity side, so that's why I'm doing this. Um, I am, you know, being a programmer is also very analytical, but I want to get outside of that. I find that so soul sucking, for lack of a better term. Um, it's not that I hate programming because there are like bouts of creativity in it and stuff, but it's like data is so data is not beautiful. I don't care what they try to tell you. Data is boring. Iguanas are awesome. I love iguanas. These are cool. I need to do a turtle too. Like as soon as I said I love iguanas, I was thinking I love turtles too. But all right, okay. So this guy looks about done. Now it's just some of these places look a little smudged. Some of these places need a little bit of highlight. Some of these things need to be like a little bit integrated. So I'm going to just kind of get some highlights in some key spots. So like on this mouth and stuff, I want to really get some highlights up in here. I think I had a white, yeah. Bit of pink up in here so it's not all blue. Sometimes I just like to add bold colors just so that they're there. Yeah. All right. And then some of the stuff kind of like looks a little bit, like there's too much space between these these scales, I guess we're calling them. So you want some scale detail and stuff, but then some of the stuff should blend together just so that you have, so that all ties together essentially. So I'm going to do that in several spots, I think. Because like in between the scales, like the guy's kind of smooth. There's cracks in his armor, but he's still wearing armor. I can't help but think of this guy as like a dragon. I want to call him Schmog. He's a beautiful little tiny dragon. Little dragon. I don't see him blowing any smoke or anything like that, but he would if he could. You'll get there someday. He's your little dragon. I just want to pat him on his head. Um, Tracing is okay. It's a tool. I don't have a problem with tracing, but I will say if you really, really want to learn, um, try not to develop that as a habit because it is a hard habit to break. What I would rather, try to take the effort to actually learn proportions and how to make that work without tracing. Even if it's like not something you do every time, like say you do trace just to get your proportions most of the time, that's fine. But you really want to have that skill because sometimes you're not going to be able to do that stuff. It's not like you can go out to like I have a lot of horse farms around here, and one of the things that I want to do is go out and draw horses in the wild. I can't trace that horse in the wild. I have to work out proportions, and even if you're just doing it and getting the proportions wrong, you're still building that muscle memory and you're still building that observation skills where eventually you're going to get it right. So I think that that's probably a better thing to aspire to. Well, it looks like he's basking in a beautiful sunset in Hawaii. That sounds nice this time of year. Oh man, why can't that be me, right? Like, but I need to branch out and get commissions from people who live in Hawaii and say, look, I'll deliver it to you. You just have to pay for my plane. That's how it should work. Actually, all joking aside, it has been nice out here. So, like, I don't know what's like in your guys' neck of the woods, um, but here in Central Kentucky, it has been really nice out. Like, it's been in the 60s. I'm loving it. It's been great. Um, so I'm pretty happy with. I've been pretty happy with the weather lately. It makes me feel like spring is right around the corner, which probably does have like a little bit of probably do have a few more weeks before it's like that constantly, but I'm feeling it. I'm happy. None of the trees are coming back, none of the leaves or flowers or any of that stuff, all that nice stuff, but I'm feeling like it's spring. There might be a few more days or even weeks where weather's off or cold or something like that, but I think I can survive until spring. I'm looking forward to March. All right, so I think I'm close to just calling this kind of done. Kind of want to get a little more stylistic with this and kind of get a little. It's almost too perfect. I want to kind of like distress it at this point, you know. So I'm gonna do that just because I wasn't happy with how these things were coming off anyway. So let's like lean into that and get a little crazy with it. Like I've got a eagle back here where the feathers are just kind of going all over the place and stuff. So I'm gonna try to do that here and kind of create that kind of effect, which I think is kind of cool. Almost like whiskers coming off. Um, so I like things like that because it makes it feel more drawn than the precision that we've been kind of doing. We cap this horn off. I think it's a little like more subdued in the reference picture, but I'm looking at that horn and I'm like, I want that to be a proper horn. The dogs know that I'm about done. I love it. Dogs are like so smart. Round that off a little bit. Yeah, Iguana bedhead. I like it. Oh, that's a great term. Yeah, he almost looks like a chief or something like that. Chief of the iguanas with iguana bedhead. I don't like that. All right, cool. Um, get some energetic marks through here. So I love this part of this, right, where you're just being creative and you're just adding, you know, stuff for not 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 just for the sake of style, but also, yeah, for the sake of style, trying to make this look more creative, essentially. So like some bold marks, essentially. So I like that kind of stuff. Forget where my stuff is sometimes. Oh, I don't want that. I want this. Oops. So just like quick marks and stuff just to get things in there really quick. It's all it's all like kind of haphazard, but then also it's like if you really think about it, it's actually really planned out. You know, you're doing it on purpose, and there's no way to kind of teach this. This is all just like trial and error. You just get better at it over time. You know. I've mentioned before, it's really kind of hard to screw up these things. It's like there is the biggest risk is that you might go overboard and you might overdo it. You know, as far as like accidentally putting a mark in the wrong place and stuff, that's less of a concern. It's more of a, did I fill this in too much? Does it look too planned? Does it look, um, too um, precise or too overdone? You know, all these like overkill things and stuff like that. Beyond that, it's just like, I think it's kind of cool to add a little bit of color. Just random marks like that. Through here, I kind of want to get a few little highlights. How are we doing on time? Yeah, I'm about done, guys. I know that I'm a little bit past what time I usually do this, but I think it's worth it. These like last couple of marks and stuff I put in and stuff, I think really add to the overall artistic appeal of it. A little bit of abstract sketching down here. Because I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, that's too finished through there. I love pastels. They create these really cool marks for this kind of stuff. Just kind of scribble it out a little bit, and then kind of same deal over here. So, yeah, Iguana bedhead is really where it's at. All right, guys. I know I know it really took on a different stylistic turn there at the end, but I like it. I'm more happy with that than I was before. So there was a point in this picture where I'm like, I don't know, kind of looks a little too polished. By polished, I also mean that like if you're going for ultra realism and you don't have all those realistic features in there, you're kind of like not pulling it off. So I do like the idea of kind of taking it in a different style a little bit there, which is more consistent with the style that I do anyway. I do this kind of like abstract realism where I try to, put in cool little effects like that. So MJ says, that's colorful. Thanks. I appreciate that. All right. I do think that I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Um, you know, hopefully you guys enjoy this. Hopefully you get something out of it. I know I get something out of it every single time. Cyberpunk feel. I like that. Yeah. I've got a couple of pictures in this style. A cat, a chihuahua that looks really cool. I think this is a nice addition to that. Um, so, very happy. All right. I might tinker with this some more overnight, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty cool. I might fill in some spots. Sorry. 1 second. I'm filling some stuff up here. Just so that you know where his head stops and starts. Little details matter. All right, so I'm pretty happy with it. Anyway, yeah. So Jocelyn likes the color scheme. There we go. Cool. All right. Whenever I can get an endorsement from the kids and stuff, I think that's great. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I probably am going to tinker with it a little bit off screen, just in add like little details and stuff, just to make myself happy with it. I don't really know until I like take a look at it. Really, I think that's a nice little improvement on the eye. But you guys don't need to stick around for that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Maybe one day I'll do a full-on dragon. I don't know. We'll see. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Some of the color is a little bit off because of the lighting in here. I'm going to try to take a better picture of it, post it up there. You guys can be the judge. So appreciate you guys. Yeah, Kinsley, anytime. Like if I've got advice to give, I am happy to give it. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have no opinion. I will try to do some more videos where I'm kind of going over just some basic stuff. Like it doesn't have to be like a full-on 3-hour picture or something like that. I mean, I can put together like a simple video just to cover some basics of things that I've learned over time. Expect that in the future because I'll probably get around to doing that. But in the meantime, hope you guys enjoyed this iguana. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Let's see. Again, sorry I wasn't here on Tuesday, but I will be back next Tuesday. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Hopefully it's as warm as it's been around here. And you guys are able to get out and enjoy some of that weather because, being cooped up in the house, it's not good for your mental health. You need to create art or something to get over it. So anyway, spring's coming. All right. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Have a great one. Thanks. Bye.